everyone. I'd like to share with you a story, an anecdote, a memory from something that happened to me about 30 years ago, and involves quite a famous person called Raymond Illingworth. Now, for those of you that don't know, Raymond Illingworth was born in 1932. He was a famous cricketer. He played 61 test matches for England, 31 as captain, so he was quite a famous player. He was appointed chairman of selectors in 1994, and he was perhaps most famous in that role for an incident that took place in 1994, which was when Michael Atherton, the then England captain, was caught on camera cheating. Effectively, he had some soil, some earth, some dirt in his pocket, and when he thought nobody was looking, he would take a small amount of this soil out of his trouser pocket and rub it onto one side of the cricket ball. He was in fact cheating, trying to make the ball swing, rough one side of the ball up and leave the other side of the ball smooth. So he was in effect cheating. Now, for an England player to cheat, that was quite something, but for an England captain to be caught cheating, now that really was serious. And it made news all around the world, front page news, and the chairman of selectors, Raymond Illingworth, got together a press conference. Some people thought Atherton should be sacked as captain, some people thought he should be removed as a player altogether. But chairman of selectors, Ray Illingworth, what he did is he fined him £2,000, £2,000. But he didn't remove him as captain. That was quite controversial as well at the time. So that is what Raymond Illingworth is quite famous for, and is relevant to the story that I'm about to tell you. Yeah, so the anecdote I'm about to tell you happened just a couple of years after the Raymond Illingworth Michael Atherton press conference, where Illingworth fined Atherton £2,000, £2,000. And it is relevant for what I'm about to tell you. A couple of years later, after that incident, I was stood in a queue in a fish and chip shop in Pudsey, which I think is called the Wetherby Whaler now, but it used to be called Craven's. It used to be called Craven's at the time. And I was stood in the queue. There were a few people ahead of me, and somebody got served, and we moved down a little bit, and I just happened to glance over my shoulder, glance around, see how many people was in the queue behind me, I suppose. And who should be stood right behind me but Raymond Illingworth. Ray Illingworth, crikey, I thought, blimey, one of the most famous cricketers England's ever produced. Chairman of selectors. I think he'd stood down by then. In fact, he'd stood down as chairman of selectors, but it was still fresh in my mind, all this controversy over the Atherton fine, when he fined him £2,000 for the dirt in his pocket. When I turned around, I thought, oh, I know that face from somewhere, but you know when you see somebody in the sort of out of context, you know the face, but you can't quite place them, because they're not where you would normally expect to see them. Well, I saw this chap behind me that I knew, and just for a second I couldn't quite place him until I realised it was Ray Illingworth. And in those few seconds our eyes met, and Illingworth looked at me and as if to say, oh, you've recognised me, haven't you? Are you going to be a problem? Are you going to be any trouble? I didn't want to embarrass him or myself, so I just turned around and carried on waiting in the queue. And a few people got served, and it was my turn. I got to the front of the queue, and I said, fish and chips wrapped up to take away. Salt and vinegar? Yes please. And the lady behind the counter started getting my fish and chips ready. And she said that's £1.25, £1.25. And I handed her a £5 note or a £10 note, I can't remember now. She said, you haven't got the 1.25 have you? Only we're short of change in the till. I said I might have. So I put my hand in my trouser pocket and brought out some coins. And what happened next wasn't planned. Not something I intended to do. I thought, oh, I'll do this. It just happened spontaneously on the spur of the moment. Pulled the coins out of my trouser pocket and I started peering at the coins in my hand and blowing away some invisible, imaginary dust and dirt. And I said in a loudish voice so everyone could hear me in the shop, I said, what on earth is all this soil doing in my pocket? And then I looked at the lady behind the counter and I said, you're not going to find me £2 for that, are you? Which I thought was rather amusing. And there were a few people laughing in the queue behind us in the chip shop, fish and chip shop. A few people laughing and muffled chuckles. They'd all understood the joke. And I thought, I wonder if Ray Illingworth found it amusing. And I glanced across, because he was more or less at the side of me now as the queue would snake round. I looked across at Ray Illingworth and he'd gone bright red. He had a face like thunder. If looks could kill, I thought, blimey, he's going to flip his lid here. He hadn't seen the funny side of that. I thought, crikey, he's going to blow. We were ticking. Everybody laughing and him stood there, red-faced, ready to flip his lid. I thought, well, I'm out of here. So I slapped the 1.25 down on the counter, grabbed up my fish and chips, tucked it under my arm and made a run for it. I was out that shop like a shot. I expected it to be like a muffled explosion as he blew up in the shop behind me. But that was the time, the encounter with Ray Illingworth, which I thought I would share with you. I thought it was amusing. The people in the shop thought it was amusing, but Ray Illingworth didn't. He had a reputation for being a bit, well, not for his sense of humour, let's put it that way. He took himself very seriously. So I just thought I'd share that with you. A memory that would be lost forever if you didn't hear about it here. But yeah, I thought it was quite amusing, taking the coins out of my pocket, blowing away some imaginary dust and saying, what's all this earth doing in my trouser pocket? With the Atherton controversy fresh in my mind, fresh in people's minds, it just seemed like an amusing thing to do, but like I say, it wasn't planned. What's all this soil doing in my pocket? You're not going to find me £2 for that, are you? Oh, he didn't like that. He was ticking. He did not enjoy that at all. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you. Ray Illingworth passed away in 2021. So, no chance of him suing me now, I guess. Not that he would. So there we go. The time I bumped into Ray Illingworth. Hope you found it amusing. So until next time, thanks for watching and bye for now.